Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll be unboxing Clash of Steel, the tabletop tank battle game by Gale Force 9. This is Operation Unthinkable, the Americans versus the Soviet in a complete starter set. You're going to get 21 tanks all together and everything else you need to start playing the game. The game actually releases on Saturday this week, so really exciting. It's almost here, and I think you're going to love this. It's a really great box set, and on Friday this week, I'm going to be doing a battle report, so you'll actually get to see the game in action. But let's have a look at the back of the box, and here you can see all the tanks laid out for both the American force and the Soviet force. The American force is going to give you 7 tanks altogether, while the Soviets are going to give you 14. The box also includes the complete rulebook, quick start rules, 20 dice, force booklets, unit cards, tokens, objective markers, dials, tactic cards, setup cards, mission rule cards, and objective cards too. And wait till you see the cards, really good quality, and I love what they've done with them. In this video then, I'm going to open the box, go through all the contents, give you a real close-up look at all the sprues and all the books. We'll flick through them so you have a good idea about what's included, and hopefully that's going to help you decide whether or not this is something you'd like to add to the collection. As I get it open, I'll just run through a quick introduction to the game, and it's set in 1948 where the war has started again, and it's based on an alternative history where the war in Europe finishes in 1944 with the surrender of Germany, but restarts just 4 years later in the face of Soviet aggression. Right, let's get this lid off and we'll have a look at all the awesome sprues. Look at this, it's jam-packed with sprues. The scales of the models are 15mm, which is 1:100 scale, and all the miniatures that we're going to be going, all the sprues that we're going to be going through in the video are plastic. You can't beat a starter set that's packed with sprues like this. Great fun. We got lots of tanks to build, 21 tanks all together. So I'm looking forward to getting these built, painted up, and ready for the battle report on Friday. So that's all the sprues out. We got these dice. We'll have a close-up look at those as well. Some little things here to go with the dials and tokens, and then you get this pack that's going to have all the cards and the books all neatly together and kept safe. You've got the decals in there too, and then this is your chance to enter a competition that they've got going on. And it's a good competition actually, because you could win all the tanks in the range, which is crazy because there's quite a lot of them. Right, let's rip this open. We'll get all these books laid out just so you can have a good idea about what's in there. Nice rule book, feels great quality straight away. And then we've got the 2 forces that we'll be looking through. We'll go through everything, all these books and cards, so you'll have a really good look at everything in detail. Here's the tokens as well. Let's get this wrapping off so we can have a better look. It looks really nice though. I like the orange and black, very striking, and on the back I'm imagining there's going to be some other prints, some of the big dials there, and then here's all the different cards protected by the insert there. Alright, so there we go. That's all the booklets and books included. We've seen all the sprues that have been taken out. Now it's time to zoom in and have a close-up look at the quality. Let's start with the American force. So altogether here, 7 tanks, and this is going to be the first one. And here you're going to get 3, and these are going to give you options to build the T-29 and the T-30. You'll notice there's some track guards there. These are going to be optional, don't have to put those on, and they do that with quite a few pieces in the sprues that we'll be looking at. You don't have to use every single thing, and you've also got the different barrels which will be numbered on the sprue, so depending on whether you go for that T-29 or T-30, you've got the choice of barrels there. Real nice crisp, these have come out really well. Those are the tracks there. Nice little tanks, can't wait to get these built, and so there's 3 of those. Now we're on to the next one. So this one's going to come in 2 sprues. And this one is the T-28. This one looks a real beast of a tank. Doesn't look like there's any optional extras for this one. So you'll be using pretty much everything from the sprue when you start assembling them. But very nice detailing. 15mm scale I think is great for a tank game like this. It means you can get a lot of tanks on the table, which is always good fun. And I can't wait to get 21 on there playing. That's going to be awesome. And one good thing about having the American and Soviets in the starter set is they're going to be pretty straightforward to paint up. But they're like the solid colour rather than camouflage. But of course you could camouflage them if you wanted to. It is an alternative history after all, so you can go for it. Here we've got another couple of sprues to look at. And now this one is going to be the M18 Hellcat. This one will come with a lot of optional extras that you can put on there to dress it up a little bit. But otherwise, looking really good, nice and crisp, great quality and printing. And then here's going to be the instruction booklet for the American Force. So nice and simple, not too many components here for each tank. So I don't think it's going to take all that long to get these built up. Now on to the Soviets. So the Soviets are going to get 14 tanks altogether. So that's twice as many as the American force. So you expect these not to be maybe as hard hitting and certainly not as tough. And here there's going to be a big bunch, 5 of those altogether. They're going to be identical. So let's have a close-up look at these. And from this sprue, or these 2 sprues, you'll be able to make the ISU 122, ISU 130, and the ISU 152. On the back of the box, it's labelled as ISU 130. So I'm going to go through and have a really good look through the rule books and everything before I put these together. But I imagine I'll be building them as the box states. Here's the next one. This is going to give us 3 tanks, and this is the IS-3. And this is all you're going to build from the sprues of the IS-3s. You've got some optional pieces. Looks like maybe some extra fuel drums, perhaps, that you can put on the side there. Give them a bit of extra range. But just like the American Force, very nicely done, nice and crisp. Good amount of detailing for the scale. And again, nice and quick to paint. These are going to be a nice solid green colour. We'll put some decals on as well, just so we can really differentiate between the 2 forces. But the tanks look very different, so it's going to be obvious which ones are American, I think, and which ones are Soviets, even if you're not a fan of tanks and aren't familiar with them. But here we go with the next one. We're going to get another 6 Soviet tanks now. These are the T-541s. And you can also build them as T-44s, so you've got a few options here as well. No optional extras though. It looks like you're going to use the components depending on which tank you go with. So you'll have some spare bits left over, but you have got the option to do those 2 different tanks. This is a really nice one. I think this is probably my favourite from the Soviet force, but I'm definitely drawn to the American force, and that's good and lucky because my boy always likes playing the Soviets whenever we play any war games, so I think he'll be opting to play the Soviet force against me. And this one will be the final sprue that we'll be looking at, so that's covered all of the tanks. Now let's have a look at the instruction booklet for the Soviet. This is the assembly guide. Again, nice and simple, not too many components for each one. You're not going to be fiddling around with this too much. Get it all cut up, trimmed off, and then stuck together in batches. I imagine I'll be doing it and be on the table in no time. They also include these. You're going to get 10 of the US tank commanders and 12 of the Soviet tank commanders. And I notice on the images at the back of the box that they're not using these in all the tanks, so you just can dot them around just to mix it up a little bit, and maybe they're going to play that into the rules actually. So I think when I look through the rules, we can confirm that later on. And I'll be explaining it once we do the battle report. It'll kind of be a battle report that explains a little bit of the rules as we play. So when you're going to be new to it, which everyone is because it's only coming out on Saturday, then that's going to be helpful, hopefully, to get you started and playing really quickly. But nice to get these included as well. Let's have a look at the dice next. And I'm always interested to see the quality of the dice that are included in these kind of sets. And I've got to say, these are very nice dice. And they're going to be 12mm altogether. You get the 2 different colours. And the dice are super crisp. So these have been really well made. So there's no logos or branding on there. But that doesn't matter. Very good quality. Oh, that's typical. A 1 there on its first roll. Here's the blue that you'll be using for the American force. Very nice. That's more like it. Let's give them all a quick roll before we move on. Next up, we've got the decals, and you're going to get 3 different types here. And so only 1 little sheet is all you need. And then these are going to be for the Soviet, the German, and the American and British are going to share those stars. Then we've got the tokens, and these are going to pop out. They're going to be your objectives, I imagine. Very nice. Real big. It's going to make it super obvious where you need to be. And I do like the black and orange they've gone for. It really stands out well. You've got all your destroyed tokens, unit leaders, and then you've got these dials as well for attacker, defender. And this is going to help you to track your victory points. And that's what we use those little black things for that we saw earlier. Then you've got unit leader bailed out on the back of those tokens. And there we are. You've got some little measuring tools as well. Very nice. So we'll pop those on there, and then we'll get these little black pegs, clip them together, and that's going to hold the dials down. Then we've got the cards. I was really impressed with these cards, and nice to have them in this insert just to protect them a little bit. You're going to get tactics cards, mission rules, enemy rules. You're going to get your tank cards, and then this is a really good thing that they've included, which I really like. I think this is brilliant. This is going to give you the mission setup. So you've got your map, and then on the back, the mission setup instructions 1 through 6, telling you exactly what you need to do. So I really like these. These are excellent. I think the back's the same on all the cards, but then you've got all the different deployments and everything here. So you've got the clash, and then you could make this random. I suppose you could roll a dice if you want to make up your own games and missions, and then get a random deployment, that kind of thing. So this is really good to get these cards included. I think that's a nice touch. It's all going to be in the book as well, but I think when you get them on a card, that's awesome. And then here we've got the tactics. So that tells you on the back there, all tactics. And then these are going to do all different things during the game, which you'll see being played out during that battle report that I'll be putting up on Friday. And the good thing with these, very clear, nice big text, so there's not a lot you're going to have to digest here as you get going. You've also got enemy plans as well, so this is, you can see here, you're going to get like 5 additional points for the objectives and things like that. So there we go, got a few of those to include, all adds to the immersion of the game and the narrative too. Then we're going to have a look at the mission rules. Not too many of these, just a little pack. And then on the back, very simple, the game length in rounds, whether there's reserves coming on. So combine these with those mission deployments and things like that, and then you're going to have lots of different combinations to play lots of different games and really make it your own, I think. And then here we've got the cards for the tanks. A nice clear image of the tank on the front and a bit more information on the back there as well. And it's all very clearly laid out, color coordinated as well. So you can see the green motivation skill is hit on, and looks like the US is all going to be 4+. But now these cards aren't just for the tanks that are included in the set. It looks like these are going to be for the different American tanks that you can buy separately. We're going to be playing 3 different types of tanks going up against each other during the battle report. So we're going to be using 6 of these. But it's nice that they've included all these in the set as well, ready for you to expand. Because I'm sure you're going to want some more tanks. Why stop at 21? Especially if you're trying to build a big force. And at this scale, you could get a lot of tanks on a big table. And we'll go through the table size and setup and everything during the battle report. So you're really going to get to see the game in action, in full, using everything included from the set. Here's the Soviet tanks. Again, more than's included in the box. Now on to all the books. We've got the core rules, which is a pull-out, the rule book, and then we've got the 2 different forces. So let's have a look at this one first, the core rules. This is like your quick start guide, if you like, and it just pulls out, and it's going to be a nice reference as well, because this is going to cover the main parts of the game. The rule book's going to go into a lot more detail, as you'll see when we flick through, but this core rules is nice. You've got 1 page there on movement just to get you started, and then you've got your shooting there, and we're going into a bit more detail about shooting, making your saves, your armor saves, that kind of thing. Then moving on to ending step, and then on to your opponent's turn. So that's nice. This is going to be where it all starts, a great way to just get into it slowly before moving on to the main rulebook. Nice, not too big, good quality, love the cover, feels really nice, and in here you're going to get all the rules you need to play the game. Great images. One thing I really love that they've done throughout this book is really provided some fantastic examples using images of the tanks in action. And you can see that the core rules going through the shooting phase here and also through the end step is all based on what we saw in that pullout. So that's all going to be the same. But now we're going to start go through the core details in a bit more detail. So we've got everything you need from that pullout. But now we're going into what you need to play, how the game works, and then it's going to start going through how to put your force together. Here's an example of a 100-point force. All your tank cards explained in detail, and terrain rules too. Now this is where it really comes into its own. You've got a nice look at the battlefield, very good photography, and then the examples for all the different steps. Look at this, these photos are great, showing you how to move them. I love the visuals they've included here, it's just fantastic. Not too much writing to digest, you can really get a good grasp of the rules by looking through the images. And they did this with World of Tanks. If you've played that, you'll certainly recognise this format. It's very similar to what they've done there. So I really like this. This is going to help to get playing nice and quick. And then even when you are playing, if you do have to go back to the book, it's not going to be a case of reading through loads of text. You can just see exactly what you've got to do. Very nice that this looks quite streamlined and simple, which I'm a big fan of. And take out those pictures, you're not going to have a huge number of rules to read. And force building's always fun. One of my favourite parts of any game is putting together the different teams or your different forces. So I'm really looking forward to getting in there and finding more about that. Then your missions, special rules, and then we're going to start getting to the end of the book now as we look through those tactic cards. So it looks like you could layer these up. You don't have to do every single thing at once, and that's a good way to learn any new game. All right, we've seen those rule books now. Let's have a look at the forces that are included. So American and Soviet forces, Operation Unthinkable, and this is where you're going to get a lot of the background now. So you're going to get into the narrative and learn a little bit about this alternative history that they've set the game in. And you're also going to get lots of information on the tanks themselves. You've got all the stats and the tank cards at the bottom of the page there. An introduction to the tanks, so you can learn a little bit about it. Really nice. And I love that picture where they've detailed the 9 different ones there. And then going in a bit more with another 6. And then there we go on the back. And then this is great. A rules quick reference sheet. We love these. Gotta have these. Again, combine that with that pull out for the core rules. And hopefully you don't have to keep going in and out of the book then. Then we've got the US or the American forces. Same setup. All the tank cards with a nice intro to each tank to really get you familiar with their kind of role on the battlefield. And so this is really fun. I like games like this where you haven't got too much to read through, but there's enough to really get you immersed in it. And another quick reference sheet so each player has one. So there we go. That's everything unboxed. I've got a little battlefield I'm working on ready for the battle report that will be up on the channel on Friday. Can't wait for that. And the game will be available to buy on Saturday. So look out for that. I'll put links down below so it'll take you to Gale Force 9's website, and then you can have a real good look at the different forces that are available, all the extra sets too, and get familiar with what's to come. But hopefully you come and join me on Friday for that battle report. It's going to be great fun, and also join me on Facebook where I'll be putting some behind the scene pictures over the next few days showing you how I've put the forces together and painted them. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be great if you hit the like button, subscribe as well to keep up to date, and I look forward to seeing you here next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. A big thank you to Gale Force 9 for sending this out for me to share with you in the video, and a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for helping me keep going with these regular videos. If you'd like to find out more about Patreon and help support the channel, there's a link down below, and we'd love to see you there.